Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
How is the crew today?
Yeah.
And
Bob's
that's
in
it.
gray.
I
Bob's
think
in
my
gray today.
cupboards are just falling apart.
Good
They're all
morning.
Good morning.
well healing
Morning.
in the
Good
center.
morning from Illinois.
Isn't it amazing how
It is amazing.
There we go.
There we go.
All right.
All right.
Let's get the
Going here in a
roll.
second. Oh, okay. So, quick announcement. I'll repeat this again as people come in, but we're going to do a 2025 second half of the year stock ideas that you have list. You get one idea. If you'll put it in the chat and label it ME25 and then the pick. So that's ME representing Morning Edge 2025. And then the pick. This is a pick for the next 6 months. Okay. So this isn't a swing trade. This isn't a short-term day trade or feel good. This is what you think is going to excel in the next 6 months. We're going to create a list similar to what we did with the platinum list at the beginning of the year. And I'm going to review that during my segment. But if you'll put your ideas there, we'll do that today and we'll do it tomorrow. And I'll build a list and we'll look at it every week on Friday to review how we're doing. So something a little fun to look forward to every Friday, but also, think about your best idea today, put it in the chat, label it ME25, and then the stock ticker, and I'll list it and I'll put your name by it. If your name doesn't show up, or if you don't want your name, just give me a code name or something, and I'll label it as we have done in the past. All right, Mark.
Okay.
Big day today. Big earnings are out. It's gonna be big. It's wonderful.
Earnings.
It's great. It's great.
Wow. That's too much enthusiasm for me this early in the morning. But anyway, I'll take it. Yeah, we have earnings, and we had earnings yesterday. Today we have the PPI. Yesterday we had the CPI. Okay. You take from what you want. As housing's still up as far as CPI. Interesting that autos were down. So yesterday the Dow was down 436 points. NASDAQ was up about 37. S&P down about 25. Again, we got PPI today, and earnings continue on with bank earnings. We had Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley today. We have J&J, so a little bit of a pharmaceutical health, United Airlines. Alcoa comes out today, and then ASML, I think they came out. Yesterday, a lot of the banks reported stronger than expected top line headline earnings, but when you looked into the deeper part of it, something must have been found. I didn't have time to look at it, but you saw a lot of the bank stocks not excel as much as you would thought they would with the headlines the way they were. Today, we're kind of looking at the same kind of thing. We're kind of up on the Dow finally. We were down yesterday, but kind of flat. Oil's down. The 10-year's down. Just a second. Looks like wholesale inflation measure was unchanged in June, according to the headlines here. Go down and see what else is going on. Who's this? Oh, Goldman Sachs estimates 840 million more. So the traders in Goldman Sachs, looks like Goldman, come down here. Crypto, I was wondering, crypto was up today, so it looks like they're going to pass some stablecoin legislation today. Bank of America picks up mixed results. Okay, well, so that'll affect today's. NVIDIA wants to sell more advanced chips to China. Jensen Huang woos Beijing as NVIDIA finds a way back to China. Morgan Stanley earnings top estimates on increased trading. Okay, so that's what we got. We'll see what the bank stocks do. We'll look at a few of those from yesterday and see how that goes. Let's take a look at. Yesterday was kind of a stop out day on my watch list, which is fine. Some weeks you have that, we have these long down days in the Dow, and still a few in. Textron got out, hit the intermediate resistance line, so we're out at 6.15. I just put these over here to show the changes. The ones in gray we never really got into because it really didn't hit anything that I would have wanted to hit. We're still in our Arista networks, up about 6%. And then Plains All American is a pipeline. We're up about 0.65 on that one, just on the watch list. You can see the ones we've had a few that were down. Johnson & Johnson hit a support level, went past it at the 9, so got out, $13 loss. We weren't into a line, so I didn't worry about that. Carrier also, and along with American Electric, both went down and hit beyond support and just tripped me out because I wasn't around yesterday. So didn't want to lose too much. So again, down 0.3, 0.7. You go up, you made 604 here, 12 here. So, the idea is to let the winners run and get out of the losers. Normally I go 2%, but when these markets and I'm not around, I just don't want to play around. You can look at the charts and see why, because the oscillators looked questionable. They were starting to roll. When we look at the 200 list, we're out of all the 200 list. Invesco finally popped out yesterday, hit a sell limit. We're at 8.34% on that one. What else did we have happen? I always look over. Okay, here. Cooper hit a sell limit, made about $32 on a 100 share lot with 0.44. Also hit a sell limit on Churchill. These weren't, really high movers, but again, you get out. If you're in and you have a profit, you can always get out without a tremendously down day. You can get out with your profit if it comes down hits and you're happy with that and you don't worry about it. And the same thing happened. This wasn't a big mover, this SHO. Got in at 9, hit it at 905, so made $5 on 100 shares, but 0.5 cent, you look at it as 0.5%. So we're really out of all of those per se also. And then if you look down, oops, I can get it to go down instead of up. And then the momentum's down here. We started out Tapestry. A lot of the intermediate resistance lines came on and would have hit from the time we put it on. So Tapestry would have been up about 3.2%, and Teledyne would have been up 1.14%, but that's about it on this week's list. The rest of them were down. One hit a 2%, and some just didn't make it. So you have a tendency on a lot of these momentums to, when you get gains, they're not the longer term. I'm in it for 5 to 7 days. It's sort of like I'm in it for two days maybe, and get it, 2% or 3% on those. So again, just be careful. And always track what you're doing so you can go back and take a look at it. So look at some charts real quick. Okay, sure. Okay, S&P. We can get this to roll. All right, S&P again, resistance. Again, we've been hitting resistance. You're seeing the 9 come up. We're getting squeezed in between. Now we closed a little bit below. Looks like we're going to open a little bit below. I look at the oscillators. They're starting to roll over a little bit on the indices. We'll see the same in some of the mags. Dow Industrials, we're seeing the same kind. Sideways, heading down. I don't know why this chart looks this way. Let's take a look at a 6-month. See if it does anything better. No, didn't do much, but same, looks pretty much like the Q or the S&P. The Qs, again, had a nice run. Qs have come up, don't really have the resistance on. We're going to open up just a little above the 9. So we are rolling between the 9 and the upper Bollinger Band on the Qs. With NVIDIA up so much, that drops, really keeps some of the momentum going in the Qs, even though a lot of them didn't do so well. Again, we're going to open up just below where we closed. But again, starting to roll a little bit, seeing a little roll on the MACD also. Gold. Again, just kind of sideways on gold. We're right here. We got the 50, the 20, and the 9 right here, and exactly where we're going to open, and just kind of flat to sideways on gold. Silver, we had that big bump last week. Resistance came back down below the Bollinger Band. It's still above support at the 9. Okay, so it's still within that zone, but you do have resistance right above that, and we'll see if we can get past that. But you had a nice bounce for a day. And Bitcoin up again today. We're about 119, which we are right at now. Here's your next line of resistance at 120. You tend to get these, you know, between 115 and 120. There's 110, here's 120. So we're in that next zone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We pull back in inside Bollinger Band, moving sideways, now moving up, getting a little more bounce. I mean, the oscillators have looked down on the stochastic, but this is probably a bounce based on what's happening in Congress. And if they pass some of these bills, I think they have 3 crypto bills they're trying to get through. If they get those, that might be enough of a momentum to continue moving Bitcoin up and to the right. And again, of course, you'll see MicroStrategy follow that right along. MicroStrategy's come up and hit resistance twice, moving along the upper Bollinger Band. We'll see if momentum gets it to pass through this resistance level in a monumental way based on what's happening with Bitcoin and what's happening in Congress. IBIT kind of came back a little bit. This is the ETF for MicroStrategy, or not MicroStrategy, for Bitcoin, back right to resistance, kind of like what we're seeing in MicroStrategy. So the question today is, you know, will they pass bills, and will that momentum propel it past resistance in a meaningful way and keep that momentum moving up? And we'll have to wait and see on that. Nvidia's still up at, you know, it's had that nice run. It's on really moving on the China news out that they can sell the H20 to China. So up and to the right on Nvidia, we're going to open up right below the upper Bollinger Band. I do like these that run between support and resistance, which is the upper Bollinger Band. When they get on the outside of the Bollinger Band, they will tend to pull in and see up, pull in, up, sideways. So, you know, we'll see what happens with Nvidia, but it's running on some pretty good momentum right now. Meta is sideways up, sideways along the resistance. You can see the 9 is now moving down towards resistance. Here we have support. It's been hitting the 20, but it's getting narrower and narrower. And if you look at the oscillators, they're just heading down on Meta. So right now the momentum is not positive on Meta. Microsoft. Oop, that's not Microsoft. Let's try this one. Microsoft, same, come up from 5 days long resistance. Getting the 9 coming up, starting to squeeze a little bit and open a little bit below, kind of flat lines on the oscillator. So again, sideways, something's got to push this to get the momentum up. Just sideways, consolidating a little bit. What's going to be the driver to get this to move even further up, or, you know, sideways to down. Google's actually had a nice little run here as far as the swing trade. You know, we played this game along the 200 where we go up and down, came back down, and, you know, instead of this time blowing down below it like it has been, it actually found some support and it started to move up. And if you look, you know, between support at the 9 and resistance, the upper Bollinger Band, we keep touching, and you got some ways to go, you know, before you hit a resistance at 193. We'll see where the sell orders are here. Tighten this up a little bit, above and tight. So I have sell orders right about where it was yesterday, where it closed. So we'll see. No, actually, it's up here. Sorry, this is opening. So sell orders are up at 188.32. So you got a little room on the top side, closed at 183.10. So it's nice momentum on Google. We'll see if it can keep rolling. That's been a pretty good swing. And, you know, maybe as an investment now, you're looking at this saying, okay, that looks pretty good now. We're not, you know, we've kind of broken that pattern. You know, maybe something you want to look into as an investment. Apple. Again, we had a nice discussion yesterday on Apple. Apple's not going anywhere. It's a good company. We had an innovation. Are they innovative enough to continue their price up, or do they need more boost there? Right now, we're seeing the oscillators kind of roll a little bit. We're down below the 9 2 days in a row. We're going to open up just a little bit before above where we closed. We're above the 20, which is the next level of support. Resistance has been the 9 the last couple of days, and flattening out on the Bollinger Bands. Again, Apple. Amazon looks like the rest will come up. Resistance 3 days in a row. We're going to open up just a little bit lower, kind of flattish on the oscillators. We are above the 200. That would have been a nice trade, you know, as far as an investment above the 200. Let's just go back and take a look at how this one acted. So this one came by and got above it, came back down and did a back test, which we like to see. A back test that was successful, back tested. And this is kind of what we're seeing on Google now. It kind of went sideways, after running around the test of the 200, came back, and it kind of just ran. So that would have been a nice time to get in, as it started to run as an investment, if you're following the Paul Tudor Jones kind of philosophy on Amazon. So a couple ways to invest or trade. Palantir. Palantir again, right up on resistance and right up where we're going to open. It had a nice little swing up here, still with resistance, and right above it we have sell orders. Got a little bit of support on the MACD, a little positivity here. What's going to get it to pass through there? We got this kind of an upward trend, hit here on resistance, back down under the 9, back up. We're hitting resistance again. What's going to make that go higher? And that is the key. If we can get that to go higher in a sustainable way, then we can move up some more on Palantir. But right now, it's finding a little bit of resistance. And Netflix, the same. Kind of Netflix went up. Now we're just following along resistance underneath the 9 for several days. Oscillators are negative. So Netflix is kind of sideways. To swing trade, you would have been out for sure at this point, just waiting for it to decide what it's going to do, up or down. We look at some of our charts on under the 200. Invesco, we've been in for a long time. Oops, that's not it. That's Nevada. That's Inventure. You get the right one. INV. Fingers aren't working this morning. That's not it. IV. Invesco. INZ. Yeah, sorry. Hold on. I got the wrong thing. IBZ. Sorry, guys. IBZ. All right. Let's get back on track here. So again, we had some resistance come on, and you can see we hit it 4 times. This just came on this morning. So, but anyway, it stopped out yesterday. It was kind of sideways, and you're up a lot. And I always like to go back and find a level like this and just put in especially if they're not going to be around, put on a stop limit, put it right above where the 9 was. And that, of course, it opened up here and came back down and stopped out. So it ended up underneath, but still with Invesco, we were up, about 8.34%. Okay. CLO, there's a lot of these are just, this was a slow and up to the right, and then we started seeing the downward trend, but we were above where our cost basis was. So again, you're looking at where it started out and just got out right above it, took a little teeny bit of profit. But, the reason is because you're seeing the oscillators trying to go down. So take your small amount and get out. Or if you wanted to try to, gut it out, but I don't like it. Once it goes under the 9, I usually want to be out of there by that time. So again, we were out of all the under the 200s, but a couple, if you're looking at the dollar's kind of had a nice little under the 200 swing up the last 6-7 days. Actually closed above the 50 yesterday, and it's above support. So it's a slow mover. The dollar, you're not going to make as much, but it is on the run. You look at the oscillators down here. UUP could make a little bit of money on there. You got support at the 50, and then some sellers up at the 27.61. Real slow runner, but meets the criteria of under the 200s. TXT, as far as our watch list goes, again, came up. This is not the green line of death. This is a removal. Came up, just kind of still, you could still be in this one if you wanted to, but I had a sell and it sold off, and we'll take that at 6.15%. Here's where we were. And yesterday it just kind of set some things in the market, moved down on me and moved it out. A couple others, if you're looking for potential watch list. Cummings has had a nice back test of the 200. It's over the 9, over the 20, over the 50. Got some good oscillators moving. Got some nice motion and momentum up, between the support now, which is the 200, and resistance up here at the Bollinger Band. So, Cummings, if you're looking for a potential swing trade, and like we said, Google was another one that was, above the 200, being able to back test it, something you might want to look at a swing trade. Let's look at a few of these, and then I'll get done. few of these bank stocks yesterday had earnings. JP Morgan had earnings. Again, JP Morgan's been, right along resistance, right along resistance. Here's the 9 rolling over. 9 has been resistance on this. And even yesterday, JP Morgan wicked up. Earnings came out, came back down. Oscillators don't look good. We looked at Wells Fargo. Same kind of thing. Wells Fargo earnings came out down. All the headlines were banks, hit it out of the ballpark. But I didn't read the reports. Again, here's BlackRock was on a nice run up till earnings. This is why I like in swing trades to get out prior to earnings. It could go the other way, but if it goes this way, it really ruins your day if you're in a swing trade. So I'd rather get out here than down here. Again, BlackRock, the largest asset holder in the world, right there. State Street on their earnings, again sideways, and then earnings came and dumped them. And that's it. That's all I'm going to go through today. Trent.
All right. So just a reminder. All right. Thank you, Basis. See, no, okay. As a reminder, as I said at the beginning, for those who weren't on the beginning of the call, we are going to do our second half of 2025 morning edge stock ideas or stock picks. We were looking for stocks that you believe will perform tremendously over the next 6 months. And we want one per person. If you'll put it in the chat, we're going to pick them. We're going to select them today and tomorrow. Just label them ME25 and then the stock that you want to select. This is not a swing trade or a day trade. It's a long or a more of an intermediate to long-term perspective. So I'm going to review real quick the platinum one that we did at the first of the year, and how that has done. Let's see here. Let's share the screen. Here we go. All right. So let me know when you guys can see this. I'll blow this up a little bit more so you can see it. So at the first of the year, just January 10th of this year, we selected, and so far pretty good. Paul has got 2 of the top 3, Palantir and Spotify. Esther is second with Navitas, David with Iren, and Mike with the Global X Gold Index. And then finishes out with CrowdStrike, MicroStrategies, Boeing, Ripple, and Bitcoin as some of the top 10 positions overall. And as you can see, we've had a year-to-date return of 12.21%. This is a substantial recovery since end of mid-May or beginning of May, where it was, I think, almost down 10%. So it just goes to show this is a highly high beta or high risk portfolio, but a lot of focus on tech. But we also still, like Scott came in with Urban Outfitters, which is up 18.4% since first year. Financials at 12 the Mitsubishi UFJ Financial Group, which is a financial exposure. And of course, Berkshire is up 5.84%. So it really gives you just sort of what we were thinking back at the beginning of January, a real diverse group, consumer goods, a lot of tech, crypto, and some financials. Bob's Walmart continues to hold in there at 2.51%. And I carry the I'm skewing things with my Tesla pick at a negative 27.2% for the year so far. But this is
interesting, Trent, that we were down a little bit, halfway through the quarter. We were down quite 20% on the whole portfolio. Now look at how many are in double digits.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah,
it's how fast they can work, So this is more we'll see how this ends the year, but if everything we've been talking about with this big beautiful bill um brings in money into the infrastructure world, I think we can see some differentiation. So if you'll put your stock idea in the chat, label it ME25 and then the ticker symbol, we'll put it on the list and I'll start creating a new list for everybody. Jumping into the stock market a bit here, I wanted to point out something. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but this is a picture or a charts of the percentage of stocks above the 20, above the 50, and above the 200. And as you can see here, we have seen since basically July 10th a downturn in really pretty much equities in general. An example of that is yesterday in the S&P 500, 90% of the stocks in the S&P 500 closed negative with an average of 1.7% negative return for yesterday in the S&P 500. That's 90% of the stocks. One stock representing 20% of the S&P 500 move yesterday held it up, and that was NVIDIA. And so it goes to show we are still heavily influenced by, in a sense, the Mag 7. Whereas 90% plus of the index was negative, really one company held it above water to an extent. So I think that's something to take into account. We've talked about this rotation from tech to infrastructure, industrial build out, and it's not hitting. It's hitting, but it's not going to hit, I think, as significantly as it will as we get further into the year. And so that's where when I look at these new stock ideas for the remainder of the year, looking at companies outside of tech could be a big winner. And I think that is, as we go into next year, we're going to see more of that. As long as money frees up and money comes into the system, and there's incentives for small, mid-sized, and large businesses to build out things, we could see this evening out in really the performance of stocks within the S&P 500 in general. Whereas right now, we're still hanging our hat on really a handful of companies to really propel the indexes higher. So I thought that was interesting, just how significant NVIDIA continues to be. Dealer gamma, market makers gamma is still positive. That means you're going to still continue to see a suppression of volatility. Actually, I'll show volatility chart today. Let's go back here. The volatility looks to open, the VIX looks to open down 2.93% this morning. So we're still below the 19 level, which we're in the investable bucket. So we should continue to see this sort of gradual move higher in really specifically in like the indexes. But chances are we're going to see that sort of start spreading out overall. Now, things change, markets change, economies change, news could change in some way or another that could increase volatility. But today, from what we're seeing for the next 30 days or so, volatility will continue to be suppressed, which is good for equities overall. So overall, still very optimistic about where we're headed in the market. The tell sheet 12 is doing well. One point out, ASML reported earnings and guidance. They said they don't plan to see any growth in 2026, and it is basically getting taken out to the woodshed this morning overall. So be aware that could be a leading indicator to what is to come in earnings and guidance from some of these semiconductor companies going forward. So just take that into account. And when it comes to risk managing your overall portfolio, as we're getting deeper into earnings season, this is where risk management, having trailing stop loss is going to be essential overall. So be aware of it. That's what I got.
PPI came out
It's over.
flat.
What's it?
So, yeah, and mortgage applications are down. So I put that in the chat, and we're
Yeah.
getting a lot of stocks in the chat. So you're going to be busy this afternoon, Trent,
Okay.
to
Awesome.
put our new list together. Got a few charts that were requested. SBET, Sharplink Gaming. It's interesting on this one, and I'm going to look. The volume is really high. Okay, we're getting higher volume. This one came down. And let's go back to a 6-month chart. Just take a look. We looked at this before. It had this big old spike up, and then it's come back down, and it's hit right on the 200 and right on support, the intermediate support level. And it's gone that way for a long time. And then you see the 9 come down here. Let's move a little closer so we can see this. The 9 came down, and this was kind of like a smaller version of the United Health, except this one started to roll up again. So we're starting to see more increased volume on this. Got above the 50. Now it's above the Bollinger Band. So you got a nice little run up on this one. You're at 70 million shares there, 55 million shares there, 54, 48. So you've got rising volume. And you have some resistance right here at 3707. So just be aware. But the MACD is still going positive, but you do have a couple of levels of resistance right above that as a swing trade goes. And BMNR. Bitmine Immersion Technology, another Bitcoin company. This has a negative crossover here on the MACD, which, as you can see, is under. It had this spike up. Let's look at the volume: 28 million, 9 million, 14, 12. Again, it's underneath. It's underneath resistance. It's come back up and hit it before. Now we're under the 20. So again, you're above the 200, but this looks like to be something that's going to follow what Bitcoin does. But you do have resistance right at 59. Julie gave us some stocks that she's been in. Julie, I don't know, are these investments or are these trades that you're in here? Are you there, Julie? Julie? Okay. So I don't know if she's trading or investing, but she wanted. McDonald's has come back up. It's having trouble around the 200. You can see it fought the 200 for a while, dropped back down, and now we need to get past its 200. But you've got resistance here. We do have a nice crossover of the MACD, which happened here when we went above the 9. But again, we got a little bit of a bend up on the Bollingers. It has to get past that 200 and sustainably above this resistance level. And then you got the next resistance at the 50 here, or 50-day moving average, which is sloping down. But if you get over that 200, you might have some hope. But right now we're not seeing that on a short-term trade. KOLK. Maybe I wrote that one down wrong. KOLK. Oops, hold on. KOLK. Okay, I might have wrote that down wrong. Target again is hitting resistance. I mean, Target's been kind of a sideways mover for a long time. Let's go back 6 months and just take a look at Target. Yeah, Target has come down, and we've been pretty much sideways since April. Okay, now we have this little bit of a move up on Target. Let's go back to the 3 months. And then we're finding resistance. We've had this trouble with resistance, for a while here. And right above it, you have sell orders. You're starting to see the Bollingers flatten out. You're also seeing the MACD starting to cross over, following what we saw in the stochastic, and momentum starting to roll down, even though it's over 50. But same kind of thing. It's got to get something to move it up above this resistance and sell orders, and you're still under the 200. But you had a nice little move here for a couple of days, but again, hit resistance. Had this 9 coming up, this pattern we see where it comes up, rolls on resistance, and then starts rolling down. It just can't get past that level. So again, I don't know if let's go to a weekly. for maybe a longer term. And on a weekly chart, I like to, as an investment, use the 50-week moving average, and you can see we're under the 50-week moving average. And so again, as an investment, from my point of view, Trent might have a different take on this, but I don't see it right now for me. Okay, what else do we have? Julie also had the low. A lot of retailers. Ooh, yeah. See, again, we're running right along this resistance line here. Came down, hit support. This would have been kind of a semi-good swing up to resistance. Actually, all the way up, we hit the upper Bollinger, again, sideways Bollingers. And now we're seeing the oscillators tank. So again, 1, 2, 3 days in a row heading down. We'll see what happens, but it's not looking good at this point for a swing trade. And then FDX, FedEx. FedEx again, under the 200, have some sell orders right above, right where the Bollinger Band is, come back below the 9, which is where, that's kind of a line in the sand for me to get out as a swing trade. Negative crossover on both the MACD and on the stochastic here. And then we're seeing the momentum kind of slide down, even though we're right above 50, but just barely again. We've closed below the 20, which had a little bit of support here. And the next level of support is the 50. And that's where I got, Trent, from what I saw.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, couldn't get my audio on time.
Yeah, no problem. Hi, Julie. How are you?
I'm doing great. Actually,
Good.
my name is Pat, but I sometimes sign in under Julie too. So
Okay.
you'll see that occasionally
all right.
change.
So what'd you
And
say
then I
your
just
name
want to
was?
let you know I am long term.
Long term. Trent, you want to look at some of these with your
Yeah, sure.
so
Sorry, I
what
was
was that
trying to
one?
get a list
KOLK.
of all the
Did I get that?
companies.
Did I get that wrong, Julie, with that KOLK? Sorry.
Cole.
Oh, coal. Oh, is that KOHL then? That's what that is. So you like the retailers, it looks like, huh?
Not really, just some of them I happen to have.
Yeah. How long have you had them?
For years.
Okay. Are you up on them or down on them?
Well, I've been in them long enough that yeah, they're going down some, but I still have a good profit on them.
Okay. Well, let's see what Trent has because he likes to look at the intermediate term.
Yeah, so this is a Target. I think that was one of the ones that I saw on the list there. The red line 200, the intermediate line, I use the 62, and then the trade trend line is that white line. From a short-term perspective, it's trailing this the trade trend line across through the intermediate trend line, which was a signal of short-term move higher, which was back on June 24th. It seems to be trailing this, so we'll looks to open above it again today at 102.60. So this broken trend we saw happen back in November of last year, where it gapped down on earnings, continues. It seems to be trying to make a move higher. It bottomed out from I guess I put this on my list a couple months ago, but it looks like it bottomed out in April and it basically moved sideways, and now we're starting to see a trend higher. There is resistance in this area that was established back in March. So a breakthrough that is important, but ultimately from a long-term perspective, you got to get above that 200. So what would cause Target to start doing better? And that would be consumers flush with cash. They're not right now, but could that change in the next 6 to 12 months? Absolutely. Are there ingredients in the pie that could make the pie rise in this case? And I think there are, with some of this incentives from small, mid, and large businesses to build in the United States, which means if they're spending money and consumers are earning that money, they go out and they spend that money. So we want to see that rotation. But from my perspective, from a short-term perspective, I would keep an eye on this. It's a RSI is above 50. I like that. Cole, was it KOL? I think that's it. No.
Nope. I forget what Coles is. You know the symbol on Coles, Julie?
If I entered it wrong, evidently I didn't get it down right, and I don't know offhand.
Okay.
How you spell
I used to
I
know
COH?
it.
I don't own
There it
Cohen.
is, right there. KSS. Okay, KSS.
I mean, it looks like the same thing as Target. Wow,
Yeah.
almost exact. I think this is an example of the consumer, and the consumer has been broke and maxed out credit wise. And so are we seeing a tip up? Yeah, this is a hopeful tip up, but that long-term trend is still a negative kind of thing. So where is money flowing in the stock market world? It's not flowing into retail as much as it is flowing still into tech or AI related companies. But
Look at DLTR after you're done.
what is it?
DLTR Dollar
DL.
Tree and see how that's doing. Because oh, there you go. Now
Yeah,
there's where money's flowing
yeah,
in retail.
right. It's this is the poverty trade. When you're broke, where do you go? You leave, you start at Target, you leave there because that's not Target, it's Target. You
Target.
move from that, you move to Walmart, and then when you can't afford Walmart, you head towards Dollar Tree. So if I look at Walmart, Walmart's flat, basically silent, stuck in a channel since really December of this year. It's basically trading sideways. So you think about the psychological element of this from a retail standpoint. You move from Target, you're still shopping at Walmart, but if it's too expensive at Walmart, let's go and see if we can get expired goods at Dollar Tree. You know, I mean, that may be sort of the thing. I think when you see Dollar Tree like decline, you see that momentum decline, and you see that move up in Target, you're seeing that rotation in the consumer. So that's my take on it.
Look
You
at
know,
Costco while you're at it.
what
Another
is
big
that?
retailer.
See,
COST. Always we're in retail.
same thing. It looks like Walmart done it.
Yeah, exactly.
RSI below 50, so I'd be cautionary about that. It's coming down to 200. It's testing that. Looks to open up $2 higher today or so. I think it's just an example of, where's the weakest sector, and that's the sector that's dependent on us, the retail purchaser. That's weak. Is that where money's gonna? Is there opportunity in there? Sure. It's just a matter of time frame and economics. When are the economics going to change for the consumer to be able to become more flush with cash again? And I don't see that probably for the next 6 to 12 months.
But yeah, we talk about all the time, Trent, about the delinquency rates on, credit cards and home loans and student loans, especially now that they're having to pay
Yeah.
them back, and car repos and how everyone's maxed out on their credit card. And majority of Americans only have less than $500 in an emergency fund. So, and then what's the other? Was it buy now, pay later kind of things? People are buying groceries on that
Firm. Yeah, I think that's a firm.
now. Firm, yeah.
This is Ford. It's just
Also, people are
great.
starting to go underwater with their homes because the prices are dropping in states. So
Good
they're not
point.
gonna refinance or pull equity out.
Who's it? What's DR Horton?
Uh, D DRH. I think it's DRH.
DRA.
I think so.
Uh,
Nope, that's Diamond Brunt. DHI, sorry.
There's DHI for you. mean, trending down below the 200 since first of the year, continues to go down. Yeah, I think that's an example. I mean, what was it? Mortgage applications were down 10%, I think, this
Yeah.
month or last month.
Yeah,
That's harsh. You know?
yeah, that's
Um,
big.
I'd be curious to see what Bank of America says about mortgage applications in the
They went
earnings.
down. The mortgage applications when it came out today, and they're
Yeah,
down. I put it in the chat. Fell by
10%.
10% from the previous week. Yep.
A big number, 10%.
yeah. And if you look at here's the thing to consider. This is the 2 year. 2 year is turning today down basically just under 0.5% on the yield. 10 year at 4.46, tack on 300 basis points, and that's a mortgage rate.
Yeah.
You know, that's expensive for most people. If you're looking for a short-term maybe couple day trade, TLT may be it. Not much. I mean, you're not gonna get a big banger out of it, but watch the yields are making fluctuating at this point. But still, when
They
you
went
look
up.
at the
They went up yesterday, didn't they? Didn't they? Like everything went up yesterday.
yeah, yields went up yesterday. 10-year treasury yield went up 1.22%. In the bond world, that's like big.
That's huge.
That's like 4%, 5% on Nvidia. That's a big day, right? So keep that in mind. And yields since the first of the month have just risen. So that means mortgage costs are going up. Just for those who don't know, mortgages are typically benchmarked against the US 10-year treasury. So you have the treasury yield, and then the banks will add up to 300 basis points. So that creates like a 4.4 or a 7.76 mortgage rate base. Now, if you have great credit and you're flush with cash, you may get more into the 6% range. But this is how banks are making money right now: is high yields on bonds, and they pass that through to their lending standards as well. So bond market's interesting. It can tell you a lot of what's going on in the overall economy.
Absolutely.
And
It's
on
6 times
lending,
larger than the equities market for sure.
yeah, it's considered the largest market in the world. But I would say derivatives have started to challenge that. But that's an expiring world where options and futures expire. Bonds have more of a lifetime, a longer term maturity to them. So we got some good stock picks here. I'm gonna add those in. So if you have more ideas, I'd love to see them here. I think I've gotten most of them.
And if someone else picks it, we can have multiple people to pick the same stock, so that's fine.
Yeah, and I've done that. I've sort of labeled them, McGill and David Jackson, both like MP, NVIDIA, Manuel and David, both like that. So I'm going to label them as, the same with two different names there as well. But if you have more ideas, we'd love to see them. We'll also do this again tomorrow. So if you want to think about it over the day, that'd be great.
I was looking at,
Anybody else?
yeah, anyone.
Hmm.
So I'll tell you, I picked MicroStrategy again, and that's one of my long-term ones anyway. But I know I was talking here on the chat with Brian about it too, and it'll be interesting on these stocks if they actually do cut interest rates finally this year, what it's going to do. I mean, we're at all-time highs on the indexes, and
Yeah.
so I don't know that the rate cuts, other than and interest rates for people, and mostly for the government paying their debt. The short term is really, government paying their debt. But, what'll happen if those interest rates get cut? And by how much does it have to be cut to get a big reaction? Any ideas? Any thoughts on that, guys? Trent, you start off?
All right. Yeah, I don't think they'll cut. I think this is a political game between Powell and Trump. And so I think he'll excuse himself to reasoning why he's not cutting. So I don't see it happening. Um, doesn't mean the stock market won't go up, just means that there's two kids in the playground beating each other up. And so you're going to achieve nothing. So that's my thought.
I don't, I don't disagree. I think it's childish to play with the economy that way. And you know, I look at,
Yeah.
if you just look at the facts and you see what's happening in the banks, you know, central banks around the world, that like Europe, I think has cut 8 or 9 times, you know, and we're just remaining the same. We're
Yeah.
not seeing, if you look at the PPI today, we're not seeing that the tariffs are really increasing cost per se on producers. If Bob was here, he could give us a thought on that. I don't see Bob there, but then CPI yesterday, I think if I looked at it correctly, it looked like a lot of the shelter and housing was what brought that up, and that's not really tariff related from my point of view. You know, cars would be, and
Yeah.
cars went down. You know, and cars would be the number one thing hit by a tariff, I would think.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, you know, we're still waiting for that. We've had several months, you know, April, May, June, July, since the what they call Liberation Day when he started the tariffs. So we
Yeah.
have 3 months of this, and you should see it now, but I don't see it that is happening
Yeah.
yet. Okay. Um,
I think when I was taught, we had dinner with some friends last night, and they were telling me about one of them was telling about her sister bought a table out of Mexico, and when they shipped the table in, she got hit. She paid 27, she paid like 2,000 some odd dollars for the table. So it was handmade, handcrafted table. She got hit with the tariff, and it was like $800. And she was like totally unexpected, right? And yet, when you think about the effects of tariffs, like when you're a consumer and you buy a product from like Mexico or out of the country, and it's not coming through a retailer or through a company like, Bed Bath and Beyond, you see that tariff hit. So I think what could, that to me is like that's where the true um truth of what tariffs look like. It's like Haley, my daughter, does work for a swimsuit company. They manufacture outside the country. And they made the decision they would suck up the tariff costs on their products so they didn't have to raise their product costs. And I think a lot of companies are doing that. So we're not feeling that pain as much as we potentially could. And so, anyhow, that I just thought it was very interesting to how that is working into the system. And I think the tariff thing is actually a beneficial thing for the United States. It's cash flow. That's what we need, cash flow.
it helped with the budget in June, you know, as far as the deficit in the budget. It brought some
Yeah.
money into the coffers, you know, right or wrong. David, what's your thoughts down there in Florida?
Well,
on the
I'm on
economy?
the complete opposite side. I just moved into my new house.
Right. Hey,
And
congratulations. I see you got something finally in your office there. It used to be
Yeah,
just a
thank
plain
you.
wall.
It's not
Yeah.
a bare wall anymore.
Yeah.
I'm on the opposite side. I think interest rates are going to be lowered here shortly.
How
Talking
much?
to
By how much? By how much do you think?
well, even if it does just a quarter point, it doesn't matter. All he's got to do is lower it once. It's more psychological than anything. What's happening is the bankers that we've talked to are telling us they have more pre-qualified customers than they've ever had in history.
Wow.
They're sitting on a pile of people that want to buy, but nobody wants to buy because they don't know where the bottom is. So
You talking about housing?
all he's got to do is lower it once, and you're going to see the floodgate opened. So
talking
it's
about
just,
housing-
it's just
housing?
the battle between Trump and Powell has to stop, and they're hurting way too many people, especially the banks.
But are you talking about housing?
Yeah.
But housing's really tied to the 10-year, not really what the Fed does, right?
Well, I'm telling you right now that the banks are telling us, no one on the retail side, there is just a ton of people that are not pulling the trigger. The people that are buying cash. They're not
Yeah,
financing.
I mean, you think if the majority of homes probably are owned by baby boomers, and they're like, if I sell this house, I'm not, I'm going to end up having a mortgage, and I don't want to have a mortgage in my 60s, 70s, 80s. So they're just sitting on their houses. So that supply of that and that movement of money is stagnant right now.
Yep,
Yeah, we're not selling.
yep.
You're
Well,
just,
I mean, I said this before. I built my house here on the farm in 1999. And if I were to try to buy it today, I couldn't afford it with the taxes and insurance now, and the increasing valuation of this property.
Well, actually, baby boomers are buying houses in other states and they're keeping their other house, you know? So they're buying, they've made a lot of money. Baby boomers were the most productive generation. So they're not.
you pull the ends out on the average of the baby boomer. The average baby boomer has about $250,000 in savings. If you pull if you take the statistics and take the low end and the high end out, there's baby boomers are as rich as we can be.
I don't disagree. There's a lot of money in 401k. Go take a look. And
Oh yeah,
a lot of it is baby boomer money, right?
yes, yeah,
So I'm not disagreeing with you. I mean, during the Great Recession, a lot of baby boomers lost everything and lost their money
yeah.
and didn't dig out. And that's what you're talking about. And I get that, but there is a lot of money that very successful baby boomers are buying multiple homes or helping their kids buy those homes. Okay.
Yeah.
There is a lot of money out there, and as David is saying, in Florida, they're going down there and they're buying for cash. I mean, I see young people in these $2-3 million homes in Ponte Vedra Beach, and you scratch your head, you know. It doesn't make sense. I know how it makes sense because I talked to my accountant. I said, Stephen, how are they buying these homes? Because their parents. Their parents have a lot of money and they're helping their kids buy those homes. That's
What percentage of the population is that? I mean, even in the boomers, because I know people who are retiring now, boomers, who they don't have that money. They're going to do Social Security and whatever they have in their 401k. I mean, they're not buying their kids homes, at least the ones I know here, in the heartland. So I don't know what percentage of the boomers are like considered one percenters.
I would say to you that more, I don't know what that percentage is. But it doesn't have to be that high because if you look in the wealthy towns where they are buying these homes, okay, it is a small, it's probably the 10% top of the scale, you know?
I guess I look at that, Bob, and I'm like, the places I go, okay, Deadwood or Estes Park or, places where people have come in. I'll pick on California, Washington, Oregon, and they buy up the property and pay cash, and then the locals can't live there anymore, and they get pushed out. Trent even talked about that.
Well, that
when he was
happens all
on
the time.
Colorado. Yeah,
That's happening in Florida because what's
But-
happening is everybody's building the multi-million-dollar homes, and the taxes are going up, and it's driving all the home prices up. I mean, Florida, it went 3 times. Homes went up 3 times in 2
I
years.
get it.
Okay. and people can't afford the taxes and the HOA fees and the insurance. So it's happening. They're moving back. They're leaving because they can't afford to pay the house anymore.
Well, that's like Santos. I think he's going after that property tax
Right.
thing.
That'd be great.
And
He gets it.
oh yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, everybody will flock there.
right. Exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, I gotta go.
Um,
I have a doctor's appointment. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, thanks, Bob.
all right.
Take care.
All right, it's time
Thanks.
anyway. It's unless someone else has anything, we are at 8:32.
Yep.
So anyway, guys, take care out there. Looks like we're up a little bit in the market. Enjoy today and use your trading plan and when in doubt, stick it out and stay out, and when you get a good one, let it run. If you've got one that's turned around, get out, on a swing trade point of view. That's my advice for
Absolutely.
today. Yeah.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you all. Thanks for participating. We'll see you tomorrow. And if you have stock ideas for the Morning Edge 25 for the second half, have those ideas tomorrow. And we'll put them on the list. And we've got some good stocks today. But if you have some ideas over the next 24 hours, let's see those. This is a pretty cool thing. I like watching what people's ideas turn into. So
Yeah.
have a great day.
Thanks,
Take it
everyone.
easy.
Don't forget the live rooms.
Yep, the live
Yes.
room.
Go join David in the live
George,
rooms.
David's got furniture now.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Patrick.
Take it easy.